A recent domestic violence report indicates that 56% of women aged between 15 and 49 years have been violently assaulted in their marriages. Hello friends, this is Stella Sanobokelo, welcoming you to the Family Enrichment Hub. Today I want to be speaking about another behavior that could potentially destroy our marriages, and that is domestic violence. Domestic violence takes the form of physical abuse, where somebody is battered and beaten and kicked and punched, or it could take the form of verbal abuse. It could take the form of mental and psychological abuse, or it could also take the sexual side, where you are forced to perform sexual activities that are against you as a person. I also recently listened in to the program Focus on the Family, and there were some very startling findings. Generally, it is said that 1 in every 4 women and 1 in every 9 men have suffered domestic violence in their lifetime, and that 85% of domestic violence in families is perpetrated by men, while 15% is perpetrated by women. It also indicates that over 500 women in the US are annually killed by their partners due to domestic violence. Abuse within the families is a reality that many families are grappling with. Nobody deserves to go through violence of whatever nature. And so allow me share some of the characteristics of violent partner within a family. And the first one is that violent partners are very controlling partners. They use threats, they use abuse, they use intimidation to get you to do everything that they want you to do. Basically, you're supposed to live your life as per their prescription. You're not allowed to be free. You don't have the freedom to live life the way that you feel you should live it. Another characteristic is that they get really physical. They get very, very violent. They can punch you, they can box you, they can kick you. It could also take, like I've already mentioned, the verbal abuse, the sexual abuse, the mental and the psychological abuse. All those are characteristics of somebody who is really a violent partner. A violent partner has a murderous spirit. They kill everything that is good concerning their partner. They will kill your joy, they will kill your peace, they will kill your tranquility, they will destroy your important relationships, they will destroy your network of people that are supposed to be supporting you with regard to different aspects of your life. When you notice you have a partner who has that kind of behavior, that is a violent partner. They just love to hate. They don't like to see good happening around you. And then also at their best, they are hurting you. They do things that it gives them enjoyment and satisfaction when you're in pain. That is a violent partner. Usually also in these violent relationships, whenever there is a disagreement in the relationship, a violent partner gets very aggressive. They get harsh. They get rash with words. They get physical. When you notice you have differences in opinion, which happens in every family within your relationship, and your partner takes that kind of direction of getting physical and abusive, you know that is actually a violent partner. They love to shame you. They shame you all the time. A typical characteristic of violent aggressors within the family is that they make you feel like the best thing that has happened to you is them. You're not worth of any other person's love. You're not worth anything. Nobody else can love you. So they keep using that in order to hold you under their grip. Another thing is they belittle you and crush your esteem. They make you feel like you're just worthless. That is a characteristic of a violent partner. They treat you as an object in their hands, an object that is just supposed to be used to meet their selfish ends. You don't value, you don't have much value to them. So your work is simply to enable them meet their ends. They don't care about your value. They don't care about your satisfaction. They don't care about your pain. All they care about is to use you to meet their selfish ends. That is a violent partner. They enjoy to give ultimatums, and every time you try to challenge them on their ultimatums, they get physical again. They get violent, they get really harsh. That is a typical characteristic of a violent partner. Violent partners are also people who are quite short-tempered. They have a very short temperament. Any little thing will irritate them and get them into fist fighting. That is typical of violent partners. What is the result of being in a relationship where violence is playing out? There will be depression. There will be a sense of sorrow and sadness, on more so the part of the partner who is the victim, who is being abused with violence. There will be perpetual sense of anxiety, a sense of restlessness, because you just don't know what else your partner is going to mete out at you. It creates trauma within the relationship on the part of the victim of violence. You suffer from a trauma where you're always scared, you're always worried, you're just in a place of you're too fearful of life because of what you're going through under the hands of your violent partner. Violence breeds violence. Families where children have grown up in violence, the tendency usually is they'll also play out violence. So when you're violent to your partner, you're only creating another generation of people who are going to continue with this ugly vice of violence. And then another thing, like I've already shared in the statistics, violence at best brings about death. Either the aggressor will kill you, or one day you will wake up, you as the victim of domestic violence, and just do away with this person. So death is a reality in families where there is domestic violence. For me, I equate violence in the family to life in prison. You cannot live your life for somebody. That is what violence really speaks to, because you're basically living your life for your partner, because your partner has prescribed the way you're supposed to do things, the way you're supposed to dress, the way you're supposed to think. That is a life of prison. You do not have freedom to take choices and just live your life to its fullest. That is a prison, and nobody deserves to live life in prison. Self-esteem will be crushed in families where domestic violence is playing out. Allow me to also share a few insights with regard to domestic violence. What is coming out very strongly in so many different aspects that I have explored on this topic is that abusers, or rather aggressors, people who are perpetrating domestic violence within the family, are themselves products of violence. They've grown up in violent homes, they have eaten violence, they've drunk violence, they've slept on violence, they just smell violence. So like they say, you cannot give what you don't have. Everybody gives what they have. So because they've grown up full of violence, it's only normal and natural to them to mete out violence to their partners. And because of that, they have an inferiority complex within them. So they use violence in order to control their partners and keep them within the relationship. That is how violence is perpetrated within the family. And you may be wondering, why would somebody remain in a violent relationship? For many, and more so the women, there is usually a financial aspect. I listened to Joyce Meyer sharing her story on domestic violence while growing up, and she said that is one of the reasons that made her mother to stay on in an abusive relationship, because she reasoned and said, if she walks away from this aggressor, how is she going to take care of herself, and how is she going to take care of her children? And I notice many women actually find themselves in this dilemma. They stay on in abusive relationships for the financial benefit. For others, the trauma that they've gone through under the hands of the aggressor perpetually telling them they are worthless, they are useless, nobody can ever love them. It is only the aggressor who can love them. That gets ingrained in their system, and they reason within themselves that truly nobody else can love them. So they stay on for emotional reasons, which are actually very negative. Friends, allow me to also share that domestic violence within the family is actually equated to witchcraft. Witchcraft is premised on taking control of the will, the emotion, and indeed the life of another person. That is the same foundation of domestic violence. It is intended to control your will, your emotion, your desires, your interest. Your entire life is in the hands of the aggressor within your family. It is not acceptable for domestic violence to be perpetrated within families when truly something can be done. What can be done? What can you do if you find yourself in a situation where you're in a relationship which is violent? The first thing is you need to confront violence. Joyce Meyer tells us prayerfully confront domestic violence, because with time, either you, the victim of violence, will wake up one morning and you will kill the aggressor, or the aggressor will surely kill you. You owe it to your loved ones. You owe it to your network of friends and family to speak up against domestic violence. Another thing that you can do is set boundaries within your marital relationship. Talk about things which are acceptable and the things which are not acceptable within the relationship. On a personal note, when I was getting married, I told my husband I cannot condone violence of whatever nature. Immediately our marriage gets violent, I'll walk out faster than I came in. And thankfully this has worked for me. I've not experienced any kind of violence within my relationship because of setting healthy boundaries right from the beginning. You could also consider reporting to the authorities. Talk to a trusted third party to be able to help you navigate the issue of domestic violence. Friends, as I conclude, Funke Felix Adejimo tells us that the covenant of life is superior to the covenant of marriage. In other words, your life and safety come before your relationship within an abusive marriage. The Bible also tells us in the book of Proverbs, chapter 22, verse 24, keep away from a violent man and have nothing to do with a person of wrath, because they will eventually destroy you. They will ensnare you with their violent ways. Friends, nobody deserves to live life in a violent relationship. You deserve better. The world is expecting better from you. You need to live out the potential which God has put in you, and this will not be achieved while you're living in the tension of domestic violence. Thank you, friends, for listening in. Kindly share widely, for this is how we shall transform our society through the family. God bless you. Bye.